Today's conversation is about women-owned businesses and for women to think about selling or transitioning to their next. It's easy to say, hard to do, but let's acknowledge 100% of business owners are going to transition their company at some point. So why not get started? Why not think about, from an economic standpoint and your personal standpoint, what's going to make you happy and what do you need in your future? I was joined by Debbie Graver from Signature Financial Planning for this conversation. And Debbie, why don't you share a couple of things that you and I talked about in our video?
Absolutely. So one of the things we spoke about was creating a personal financial plan, which isn't too different from creating a business plan. When you started your business, when most business owners started their business, they had a vision for what they wanted it to be. And as the business grew, they made adjustments to that original plan and created new strategic plans and learned from their mistakes. So when it comes to personal financial planning, the process is very similar. We need to take a step back and we ask business owners to take a look at where they are and where they want to be after that business transition. Some of the challenges oftentimes that we see is that there's a gap, right? They have a vision of what their business is worth, and they have a vision of their retirement, but they may not be in alignment. So, Laurie, how do folks address those gaps in business value if there are any?
Yeah, thanks for that, because that's where I really find a lot of coordination and hard work and really being honest with where the business is valued today. That's where it starts. Let's take a fresh look, an honest assessment of all the factors that are strengths and that will drive up your multiple and some factors that might pull it down. And so I invite everyone who's listening to follow up with Debbie and myself. Our contact info will be below the video clip. And also I invite you to watch the whole video so that you can learn more about how we work with clients to help them maximize their value for the business and get ready for their next. So thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Laurie Barkman, CEO of SmallDotBig. I work with business owners to help them maximize the value of their company and head towards their next, whether it's a business sale or other ownership transition. And really, really important piece of this in terms of exit value planning is starting out with a financial plan so that you know where you are headed in your future and how to fund that direction. So with me today is Debbie Graver with Signature Financial. And I'm so excited, Debbie, to talk to you about this on behalf of women business owners and how we can help them think about their business transitions and their next. And I think you and I are the right mix here to have this conversation. So welcome.
Well, thank you, Laurie. I'm excited to be here. This is going to be a great conversation.
Yeah. So why don't you just give your quick introduction for yourself?
Sure. As Laurie kindly introduced me, my name is Debbie Graver. I'm a certified financial planning practitioner with Signature Financial Planning. I've been in this business for about 30 years, and I started my career at a large national bank working in cash management. And then I moved into personal financial planning with another large national brokerage firm, and then finally found my way to Signature Financial Planning, which is a boutique firm. And we provide more personal attention and customized financial solutions to our clients.
So for today, Debbie, you and I talked about this topic and planning this conversation about what's next for business owners, women business owners in particular. And it's not that it can't apply to men. So if they're listening, it certainly will apply to them too. But, let's just acknowledge the decision for an owner to sell their business is the most significant, one of the most challenging too. It's the most challenging decision that they're going to make in their life. And they've probably never been through this type of transition before. And they kind of maybe have one shot at it and they want to do it right. And one acknowledgement, it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek acknowledgement, but 100% of business owners are going to leave their company at some point in time, right? 100%.
You got it.
Yeah, 100%. But the but here is that a significant percentage of them do not have a plan, as many as 50% or higher don't have a plan, don't have a written plan. Maybe it's in their head, but I know if you work the way I do, if it's not written down, it's not happening, right? We're kind of all over the place. And for many entrepreneurs, the business is their retirement plan because it can be as much as 70, 80% of their net worth. And so it's a non-diversified asset. It's not liquid many times. And then finally, people start to think about, well, wait a minute, what can I do to take some chips off the table? What type of lifestyle do I want to lead? And how should I be thinking about my retirement? So as we tee up this conversation, I also want to acknowledge that, again, this is not an easy process. There's a lot of challenges along the way. And many owners feel regret after selling the business, and just 25% are happy with the proceeds. Not to mention about 25% of companies just never do sell. And so we take all of that and say, wow, this is really not an easy process. Why are you and I having this conversation? I think first and foremost is, entrepreneurs and owners, they don't build their company by themselves. So why would they look to sell their business or transition their company by themselves? They want to have trusted advisors around them. And when I think about this and how I work with, again, I work with owners for business exit planning, it starts with the financial plan. I think you and your team are critical as a first step to talk with owners about where they are and where they want to be. And so let's start with that. What do you think are some of the dynamics or some of the things that business owners should be thinking about, given everything in our economy and where things are headed as business owners today? What are some of the challenges?
So, excuse me, I want to back up for a minute and say I 100% agree with you. Financial planning, building a business, in theory, isn't any different for a woman than it is for a man. But there are some challenges that women face that typically their male counterparts do not. So over the past few years, I've really specialized in working with female founders and entrepreneurs and small business owners who understand the opportunities and challenges that women face and enjoy working with like-minded professionals. There are not a lot of women in financial planning. And that's why I've chosen to really, really work with women who need that advice and guidance. I mean, the truth of the matter is, today, women do own an estimated 12 million businesses and employ 9 million people and generate excuse me, frog in my throat, almost $2 trillion in annual revenues. And studies are showing that women-owned businesses deliver more revenue for every dollar invested, right? So we're doing a lot of things right. And yet if we work for someone else, overall, the average woman is only earning 80 cents to every dollar earned by a man. So there's so many reasons to build a business if you're a woman. Just take charge and go for it. But there are a lot of challenges still. There are misperceptions that women entrepreneurs aren't as competent. There are networking exclusions, a lot of kind of old boys club environments, less access to capital. And that's really the number one challenge. It's been really difficult for women to find the money they need to start and to grow their businesses. And so what we need to do is find financial advisors who can help us and help introduce us to capital, to sources of capital, introduce us to those networks of people who can really help make a difference, help mentor one another, right? Buy from other women-owned businesses and envision where you want to be in the future and really put your arms around the personal insight and experiences you have as a woman. And we can overcome all these challenges. We don't have to be left out of the conversation. People don't have to misperceive our abilities, but we just have to let them know we're out there. And by building those networks, both socially and financially, we can overcome the challenges we face.
Absolutely. And I was looking at some of the small business statistics in the United States and people's impressions of COVID and sort of outlook as we move forward. And women-owned businesses, women owners are more optimistic. About 76% of women business owners report being happy or somewhat happy with where they are in their companies. And they're optimistic about growth. A lot of them are looking to invest and continue to grow their company, which is great because in this work of thinking about where we are today, where we want to be, it's very likely that we're going to have a gap. We're going to face a gap. Like we might think our business is worth this, but you know what, to the outside market, it might be worth less. And so that's going to have an impact on what we need to do to continue to build value. So yeah.
So how do they address those gaps in value, if there are any?
There's a number of things, because there's some really key factors to creating value in your business, and it boils down to about 8 of them. First and foremost is financial performance. And what is an outside acquirer really looking for? They're looking for a company that has known risks so they can be addressed and priced accordingly. Or if they don't have risks, that's even better. They're looking for predictability of future cash flow. And so the value of a business and whether or not it's discounted or is getting a premium really is dependent on the number of risks that are found in the due diligence process or just inherently in the business. One of those main things is financial performance. So it's not only the industry that it's in and the traditional multiples on EBITDA, let's say, or earnings of the business. There are traditional multiples that we'll see as benchmarks. And so to what degree can your business get a premium above those averages? You know, what's going to differentiate your business? So one of those things is size. How big is your business? Businesses above 10 million inherently are perceived as less risky. They're a little more proven, is one factor. Another factor is how buttoned up your accounting and bookkeeping is, and your record keeping. And essentially, and at its core, is how transferable is your business to another owner? So can your business thrive without you? That means a mix of things, from structural capital, that you have good IT systems and documented processes. Companies that have their owner who's the primary leader of sales, the main rainmaker, if that's you, chances are you're tied up with lots of things, lots of firefighting, lots of problem solving. Everybody's coming to you. We call that a hub and spoke challenge. We call that the owner's trap. And so companies that cannot thrive without their owner are worthless companies. I know that sounds harsh, but you have to look at it through the eyes of an acquirer. What are they really getting? And if they're saying, well, what's an asset sale? Okay, that's fine. You know, that's what it is. But if you really want to punch above your weight class, then all these different factors are going to weigh in.
Absolutely. One of the things that I have found with clients who've sold their business and stay on is the challenge. You may be replaceable, but then what is your place in the new business? So there are a lot of questions, right, that business owners need to think about and answer about selling the business. It's not just about the money. There's really a lifestyle decision that goes along with that. If you're going to stay with the company for how long, and is it really worth your while? Because it's hard to see your little baby go off to college and you not be part of that next, growth trajectory.
Absolutely. And for a lot of owners and operators, it's about identity, especially if their name is on the door. And I think as women too, we have a tendency perhaps to really be tied in with who we're surrounded by. And so you can look at it as, how do you spend your time? Is most of your time with work and out of work with the people in your company? So many times our social fabric is with our colleagues. So that's one lens, as a look at is, well, how are you spending your time? And do you have other things outside of work that you enjoy? And I know it's really, really hard to be building a business. Some people are working 70-hour weeks, but over time, that ability to find these other things that excite you, to pull you towards your next, is really important. Because that one of the statistics I mentioned earlier of people not feeling happy after a year after they've sold a company, what it boils down to for that is these pull factors versus push factors. And can we create more pull factors, something pulling you to your next? So where I like to start with clients and talking to them is, what's their future vision? And how do they see themselves? How do they see their involvement in their business in the future? Do they want to be chairperson, chairwoman, and put their feet up on the desk? Do they want to be completely out of the business? Some of the things that you were alluding to earlier also. And so what's their next great adventure? Can we get them excited and talking about these next things? But then also acknowledging, where are they today? And what are some of those key obstacles that might be in their way, or challenges that could derail their business or their personal goals over the next few years? And I think one thing that really dovetails nicely with our conversation is, what role does your business need to play in helping you achieve your financial freedom? Because again, if we have a gap in where they think they need to be for their financial freedom, for retirement or living the lifestyle they want to live, and where I help them is understanding, well, what's your business worth today? Chances are there's a gap. And how are we going to close that gap?
Yeah, and that's very similar to what we do on the financial planning side. And I often say there are financial and non-financial considerations. And my job is to give you an honest look at where you are and where you want to be after you sell the business or while you're growing the business. We also look at things like, do you have a good retirement plan? I believe that a well-funded retirement plan can also enhance the value of the business when you do sell. That also helps you keep employees, and the stickier the employees are, also, I would think, Laurie, the better the opportunity with the new company, if it's sold, for them to stay and help it continue to grow. So when I talk to folks who are looking to sell their business, and they say, well, I've never had this kind of liquidity, right? This is a liquidity event. I have car dealers as clients. Well, all of their, wealth is tied up literally in bricks and mortar and metal. I used to work with an individual who owned a lumber yard. All he understood were trees. And if a kid needed to go to school, he'd cut down more trees and sell more lumber. So trying to understand the liquid investment side of things can be really challenging. But what I try to do is, put it in terms that the business owners will understand. When you started your business, you had a vision for what you wanted it to be. And as the company grew, you made adjustments. I know I had to make adjustments as my business grew. I'm sure, Laurie, you've done the same. And so you keep creating new strategic plans, and you learn from your mistakes and you modify. So when it comes to personal financial planning, the process is really very similar. I need the business owners to envision what they want from their business transition, just like you do, what they want retirement to look like, what other life goals do they have? Do you want a vacation at Caribbean, or getting an RV and driving cross country is more, your idea of a good time? Do you want to give back to your community? Do you want to give back to your family in a meaningful way? There are a lot of good things that can come out of this kind of a financial transaction when you sell your business. And if you're interested in starting a new business or doing something else, that can all be part of the financial plan we put together. So regardless of what your goals are, and I've worked with hundreds of people through the years, and everyone's goals are different. So when I get the question like, well, what do most people my age do? Or what do most people my age sell their businesses for? It's not a one-stop shop. It's not a one size fits all. We work with you to help you create a financial plan to help you realize your vision, whatever that vision is for the future. Create actionable steps, just like you did for your business, to grow it. And then the other thing that's so vitally important is we coordinate all of that with your tax and legal professionals, because if it's not a coordinated plan with what's next, we may not be really taking advantage of all the benefits from a tax, again, accounting and financial standpoint that are available to you. So it's got to be a coordinated plan.
I love that. And I think it leads to the next item, what I thought we could share with everybody, Deb, is, what are 3 actionable things that they should take away from this conversation today? Anyone listening who's really starting to think about their business transition, what would you say?
Well, the first thing, and I may be a little biased, but is develop a trusted relationship with a financial professional who you can work with to help you build your business, build your network, and build your net worth over time. That's number 1. Number 2 is to create a vision and a plan for your financial future. And like you said, write it down, have someone hold you accountable to it, and form a personal board of directors. This is so important with your tax, legal, and financial professional to help you realize those goals.
I love that, because it speaks to the collaboration that's really necessary. And I know there's some really trusted advisors that business owners have worked with for a long time. However, they may not have experience with exit value planning or with M&A types of deals, whether they're buying a business or selling a business. So it's really good to be working with trusted advisors who have experience in those areas. So that would just be the other caveat I would add to building that board of directors, is just making sure you have a good mix of people to represent you and your interests. Some thoughts that I would just layer in. I completely agree with everything you said, 100%. I would just say I would encourage everyone to work with your financial planner to estimate that number. What's that big number that you think you need to live the lifestyle you want, and really understand what that is. Because working with somebody like myself, I'm going to help you get an estimate of your company, where your company is today. And I'm going to encourage you to understand what the potential gaps are in those two numbers, and essentially start the hard work. I know there's a lot of hard work here, but start the hard work of saying, okay, if I'm going to try to close that gap and increasing the multiple of my business, I have to address the risks that we're seeing today, and how do I help close out those risks in a number of different things that it could be. But let's understand what those root cause issues are, and try to see the hidden risks in the business. Let's take a fresh eye. So Deb, I guess just to wrap up, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
I am so happy to offer myself as a resource to any one of the amazing women and or men who may be out there today listening. I'm available by phone. We're still doing virtual meetings for now, and they can be scheduled through my office at 412-390-2800. And you can always find additional information on our website at signaturefp, as in financialplanning.com. And just to build on one comment that you made, Laurie, I often say that whether you're new to the business of investing, have outgrown your current advisor, or you're just looking for a second opinion, please reach out. I'd love to learn more about you and your business, and how I may be able to help you achieve long-term financial success.
Love it. Love it. And I would just offer, if people want to connect with me and learn about how I can work with you to help you get ready personally for your business transition, and help your business get ready to maximize the value. I'm available also virtually or in person if needed, but certainly I can schedule time. Just go to my website, which is SmallDotBig.com/contact, and you can schedule an initial call with me. And I want to help you understand what your company's worth today. So the process really starts there. I can provide an estimate of value or go through a deeper valuation of your company. I also have some tools to help you with assessing where your business is today from a risk standpoint and strengths, and also where you are personally. So I want to explore some of those things more deeply. I want to invite you to take a very brief online survey to assess your personal readiness for transition. And then we can discuss the results afterwards. And if you're interested in that, go to getmyprescore.com. That's getmypre, which is PRE, prescore.com. And if you're ready to take the next step, then certainly follow up with me or with Deb. So Deb, thanks so much for joining me today for this conversation. And I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Laurie. It was my pleasure. Have a great day, everyone.